Tonight, we assess President Tinubu's working visit to Brazil, the gains and benefits to both nations. How does this impact on businesses in Nigeria, and what does this mean to Nigerians? I will be joined by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Foreign Affairs and Protocol, Ademola Oshodi. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Politics Tonight. I am Olajumoke Olatunji.
In a world where news never sleeps, we're taking a giant leap into the future. We at TVC Communications are proud to introduce a new era in news broadcasting. But first, let me introduce my special friend, Olamide AI.
Hi, Olamide Human. Is it time to come out yet?
Yes, indeed it is. And you can bring your friends along. Meet our new AI anchors, speaking your language and sharing your stories. From English,
Good day. These are the news headlines.
to Pidgin,
Better country people, on a good evening.
Yoruba,
Ekaro, Ekudede Asikoyi, Shedadalabayi,
Igbo,
Ndewo, Auto Innovation, Ahambu Obada Samson Ejiro,
and Hausa.
Mutane na sanar da zuwa, sunana Raki Abdulkarim, kuma kana kallon TVC News.
We are bringing the news closer to you.
Faster, smarter, and always reliable.
And together, we are shaping the future of news for every Nigerian, everywhere. Innovation, connection, and trust. The future of news is here.
TVC News, first with breaking news. And now first in Nigeria with AI news anchors.
Welcome back to the program. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was on a working visit to Brazil, where he engaged with top government officials, business leaders, and key stakeholders, strengthen bilateral ties and explore new economic opportunities. But beyond the handshakes and high...
In the last 2 years, Mr. President have made a lot of intervention by all the state governors in Nigeria in terms of ensuring that he gave us fertilizer, he gave us a lot of resources, particularly to invest in agriculture.
We're expanding the value chain around the dairy production. It has the potential to lift families from poverty. You can imagine if a family can be able to extract milk, 20, 40 liters in a day.
You don't need to know anyone to get anything from the central bank. You don't need to know anyone to enroll in school. Once you are able to go to school, you will be able to go to school today. This is unprecedented. It has never happened in the history of our country. And all the reforms that Mr. President talked about livestock. This is a potentially over 30 trillion naira economy.
What I have done, Your Excellency, is that in the past 1.5 years since after my election, we had 3 PhD students at that time. And right now, in 1.5 years, we have 296 here in Brazil, and all on scholarships.
So joining me tonight to give proper perspectives to this conversation and ultimately answers to questions begging for answers is Ademola Oshodi, SSA to the President on Foreign Affairs and Protocol. Good evening to you, Mr. Oshodi. Thank you for joining us on Politics Tonight. Okay. Can you hear me, Mr. Oshodi? So talk to us, what was the main agenda of the President's working visit to Brazil? Can you also confirm that the Nigerian government delegation took the first direct commercial flight from Brazil to Nigeria?
Yes. Good evening.
Good evening to you. So did you get that question? So what was the main agenda of the President's
the main intention for the
working visit to Brazil? And I also wanted to...
The main intention for the visit was a state visit. Both countries... I did.
All right, can you hear me, Mr. Shudi? What was the main agenda of the president's working visit to Brazil? And can you confirm that the Nigerian government's delegation took the first direct commercial flight from Brazil to Nigeria?
Thank you. The main intention of the visit was a state visit for two world leaders, Nigeria and Brazil, coming together for mutual understanding, respect, and business. You could probably say that the main intention was agriculture. Brazil being a major player in the agriculture sector around the world, and Nigeria being a budding industrialized country in Africa. So the synergy was there. Somebody has it, somebody needs it. Nigeria also plays a pivotal role in cultural and historical ties with Brazil. So that is also a great partnership that has also been growing over centuries. The flight was actually a flight, a maiden voyage from Brazil to Nigeria by the Air Peace airline. I wouldn't say it was commercial, but it was actually the first passenger flight from Brazil to Nigeria, and it was very short. It was 7 hours. I was actually on the plane myself, and it was quite a comfortable, short journey rather than the 24 hours across the world to get to either Brazil or Nigeria. So it was quite an exhilarating moment, actually.
All right, because from the report and videos we've seen, Air Peace will inaugurate direct flights between Lagos and Sao Paulo. And Embraer is set to open a service center in Nigeria. But how significant is this direct flight in terms of strengthening Nigeria-Brazil relations? Was this flight a part of bilateral agreements signed during the president's visit?
It was. It was a part of the memorandum of understanding, or the MOU. It also encompasses agriculture, encompasses technology, and also things towards industrialization and cultural interest between both countries, as I mentioned earlier. But the biggest part was actually agriculture. Brazil is the farmland of the world. They have one of the highest stock of cattle in the world. Nigeria is also trying to build this cattle business, especially with the livestock ministry that has been initiated by the president of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Investments coming in. You have about $2.5 billion of livestock for business and technology coming into Nigeria. You also have over 10,000 tractors being planned to come into the Nigerian agricultural space. So it is opening up the Nigerian economy. This is not business as usual. This is purely an economic diplomacy, well done, always been done by the president. It's not just a photo op that we're used to in the past. This is a foreign policy with intention that also collaborates with its domestic reforms of building the Nigerian economy with the 4Ds of foreign affairs, democracy, pushing democracy, especially in West Africa with all the crises in the West Africa with the coups, the demography, the young population, ensuring there's initiatives to provide employment for them, and also, with in the development, as I said, in driving investment into the country and ensuring that the country grows to that $1 trillion mark the president has also always touted about. And lastly, it is the issue of diaspora of either in Brazil or anywhere around the world, bringing in over $20 billion a year to the Nigerian economy. So it's a foreign policy with a lot of teeth, a lot of bite, and it's bringing a lot of fruits into the country.
We'll come back to the issue of diaspora, but still on this, how does this development align with the president's broader foreign policy or economic strategy, especially in trade and investment? And are there other countries or regions being considered for similar direct flight partnerships?
Well, there's always opportunities. I think right now, Brazil was the easiest thing, was very close, just an a 7-hour Atlantic flight, transatlantic flight. There's also opportunities, I believe, just personally, direct flight maybe to Canada. I also hope that we see direct flights to places around Europe. We don't have a direct flight to Spain, so to speak. But it's important that all avenues are open for
all right. And still on investments,
for opportunities, especially in Africa, that open trade within Africa.
All right. All right, so still on investments, because during the joint press conference in Brasilia, the president mentioned that Petrobrass's return would reignite economic cooperation in the energy sector. What is Mr. President trying to achieve? Yes, we have the largest gas repository, but why is Petrobrass's return so significant now? Was there a formal agreement or MOU signed with Petrobrass during that visit?
There was definitely an agreement. You could see the fact that the Nigerian oil and gas sector has stabilized. We are actually exceeding OPEC's quota, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Country. We're exceeding their quota of over 1.5 million barrels per day. Nigeria is providing all the condensed fuel for export. So it is a great moment to invest in Nigeria. We've seen Shell open up investments of over $5 billion into the Nigerian economy in the Niger Delta. We've seen a lot of offshore oil rigs returning back to Nigeria. So the Petrobrass is a major player in Brazil and in Latin America. Brazil doesn't have as much oil or gas as Nigeria does, but it's a major player. So having foreign investors tap into our crude oil industry extraction, it's a win-win for us. And we can see this understanding coming in, and in the next few weeks and months, we'll see all these signatories, all these things signed up by the president, including Petrogas, coming into fusion. So it's I would say the diplomacy by the Nigerian president traveling to Brazil has brought in a lot of prospects and opportunities to expand the Nigerian economy. It's good for us.
All right, let's go on this because, Petrobrass left Nigeria in 2020, and apart from that desire to streamline its global portfolio, we all know that exit from Nigeria 5 years ago was driven by a combination of factors, including financial struggles stemming from domestic corporation corruption scandals. So what specific role is Petrobrass expected to play in Nigeria's energy sector if it returns, and how does it differ from their previous engagements with Nigeria?
It's still early days. It's honestly still early days. The details are not really out or clear, but they left because of our not only their own domestic issues, but also Nigeria's own issues. We had not signed the petroleum industrial bill, the PIB at that time. So things were still shaky. People didn't have confidence in the oil and gas industry. So a lot of companies left. A lot of companies divested from Nigeria, and Petrogas was one of them. So they've seen the fact that there's more stability in the country. The currency is stable. There's less, if not almost negligible, theft in the oil pipeline infrastructure. So it's a confidence boost to say, look, this is time to return to Nigeria and make some money, and at the same time provide Nigeria with needed tax revenue and employment. I would basically say there's more coming in. There's more oil and gas companies considering returning to Nigeria, and existing ones expanding their scope in Nigeria. This has been part of the huge reform by the president of the country, the #1 diplomat in providing, I would say, the investment into the country. His drive has been a big part of this. And we see the chemistry between both leaders, Lula da Silva of Brazil and Bola Ahmed Tinubu, as a very unique thing. They're both on the left spectrum of the political sphere, and we see how their progressive ideology is bringing benefits for both countries.
All right, early days, yes, Mr. Oshodi, but, I asked that question because you said there was an agreement. And, some of the questions we journalists are asking is, are there lessons learned from their past involvements that will shape the new cooperation? But before I move away from this, was the Nigerian private sector represented in these discussions?
There was a lot of Nigerian private sector represented in the whole delegation going to Brazil. There's a lot of, I saw people from the oil and gas business. I saw people in agriculture. I saw people from industrial, from industries right across the Nigerian whole spectrum. So yes, there was definitely, you can't do this kind of deal without involvement of the oil and gas private sector, and it's something that they have to see where the benefits, how it competes with them, and ensuring that also local content is also respected. So they were definitely part of the whole understanding and with
all right,
the negotiations with the Nigerian government and the Brazilian counterpart.
Right, because this is the third time Mr. President would be visiting Brazil. First, the visit to attend the G20, second on climate change, BRICS, and now. Has there been any follow-up or implementation of outcomes from his earlier Brazil-related engagements?
Yes, the livestock, anybody in the livestock industry would tell you there's a lot of Brazilian attention towards that in Nigeria. Technology towards the fertilizer, issuing of, $2.5 billion coming into Nigeria, coming into that livestock industry. It's something that we should really, really marvel about. But it's the most important aspect, I would say, is ensuring that we put the right things in place to ensure that before the crop season starts, before the rainy season starts, before harvesting, they have things in place like the machinery, the expertise, the fertilizer, and also the security. And the Brazilian government and its private sector representatives have definitely paid attention towards this. They're not just doing this for altruistic reasons. They're doing this for business. They see the opportunities here. I mean, Brazil has 238 million cattle. It is incredible. And they have the expertise. We're actually shipping cattle from Brazil to Nigeria, to start the rearing of cattle in many parts of especially Kaduna State and Nasarawa State, especially and Plateau State for dairy. So this is already taking fusion. I'm pretty sure the governors of those states will be able to, give you those facts there. But it's already taking fusion into the Nigerian economy.
And there are also discussions about Brazil sharing its technological advancements with Africa. Can you clarify what specific technologies are being referred to? You've talked about agriculture, energy. I want you to specifically talk about digital innovation or industrial technology.
Well, I can speak for Nigeria. I'm not clear about what the Brazilians want to do for Africa, but I can tell you that they moved hard and fast towards the agricultural space, towards industrialization, towards technology that would ensure crop fertilization, ensure that issues of, you would say things of irrigation, issues of, crop harvesting, the technology towards in agriculture into the Nigerian ecosystem, especially in the agri space. Nigeria also pushed hard, I should say, on areas of cultural relationship. And again, the first thing you spoke about, the flights between Brazil and Nigeria. But in the digital space, Brazil has also brought areas where it can help small business in Nigeria, and also the small and medium-sized business in Nigeria, and see where they can actually.
But in your view, Mr. Oshodi, is Africa and specifically our own country, Nigeria, truly ready to absorb and apply the level of technology Brazil is offering? What infrastructural or policy gaps must we address internally before such a transfer can be meaningful?
Well, we have a very purposeful leadership in Nigeria. That's the first and most fundamental thing. And we need to have those fundamentals in place. We need to have somebody with strong intentions, bold, and audacity to take chances. And that's what the president and the leadership of the Nigerian political space is doing at the moment. We have the right people in place in the various ministries and all agencies to ensure that they're open for ideas and training. There's a lot of over 1,000 youths have been trained in digital technology right now with the Ministry of Ministries in Nigeria. So that is also something that I think will open up that space and ensure that we are ready to accept those changes that we just talked about.
But is that enough? Because, I'm asking this question because, it's a fact that Africa has long struggled with implementing foreign technologies due to local constraints. But what's different this time? How is Nigeria preparing to avoid the usual bottlenecks? We'll talk about lack of maintenance culture, weak institutions, or policy inconsistency.
Well, I can just tell you, basically it really comes down to leadership. It comes down to ensuring that people are held accountable and putting the right infrastructure in place, having the right internet connectivity, ensuring that we have the right electrical supply system.
So before I let you go, Mr. Oshode, the president also met with members of the Nigerian diaspora in Brazil, urging them to contribute actively to nation building. But since the president has, begun advocating for this, one big question has been the practicality of this. Has the Nigerian government created enough enabling policies to harness the expertise and capital of the diaspora? I mean, other countries like India and Israel have successfully integrated their diaspora into national development strategies. And if that's what we're looking forward to doing, what practical forms can such contributions take, especially given Brazil's sizable Afro-Brazilian population?
Well, the direct flight between Nigeria and Brazil is number one. That's the first thing. The second thing I would say is to ensure that we have, the diasporas being able to bring in their funds in easier fashion. They're bringing in over $20 billion from around the world every year into Nigerian economy. That's huge. The diaspora people can tap into it towards building houses and even in cases, investing in properties in Nigeria. There's also the investment of the Diaspora Investment Fund, but the federal government has also initiated. I think it's also dealing with the foreign currency, not necessarily the naira. These are things to attract the funds from Nigerians living abroad and to ensure that they play a big role in the Nigerian economy.
All right, then, great conversation. Thank you so much for coming on Politics Tonight. Demola Oshode is SSA to the President on Foreign Affairs and Policy. Thank you so much for your time. I'm
Thank you very much.
I do apologize. All right then. So, directly from Lagos to Sao Paulo, and now a reality, a milestone for trade, tourism, and stronger ties between Nigeria and Brazil. Remarkable and very laudable, but attention now shifts to how other agreements and engagements translate into tangible benefits for Nigerians. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Remember, you can watch the repeat broadcast of this episode at 12:30 a.m. Good night, everyone.
In a world where news never sleeps, we're taking a giant leap into the future. We at TVC Communications are proud to introduce a new era in news broadcasting. But first, let me introduce my special friend, Olamide AI.
Hi, Olamide Human. Is it time to come out yet?
Yes, indeed it is. And you can bring your friends along. Meet our new AI anchors, speaking your language and sharing your stories. From English,
Good day. These are the news headlines.
to Pidgin,
Better country people, on a good evening.
Yoruba,
ẹ káàárọ̀ ẹ kú dédé àsìkò yìí ṣe dáadáa la bá yín.
Igbo,
Ndewo, Auto Innovation. Aha m bụ Obada Samson Ejiro.
and Hausa.
Mutane na sanar da zuwa suna na Rakiya Abdulkarim kuma kana kallon TVC News.
We are bringing the news closer to you.
Faster, smarter, and always reliable.
And together, we are shaping the future of news for every Nigerian, everywhere. Innovation, connection, and trust. The future of news is here.
TVC News, first with breaking news. And now first in Nigeria with AI news anchors. Welcome to the transformative journey of Gombe State. Like a beautiful bride in the savannah, Gombe State is steadily growing to become a commercial and investment hub with accelerated development of world-class infrastructure, quality education, and healthcare. The jewel in the savannah, under the visionary leadership of Governor Inuwa Yahaya, is taking giant strides in the quest to making Gombe State a paradise in Nigeria's northeast region. Join us on this adventure every Thursday by 3:30 p.m. as we explore Gombe's transformative journey to greatness.
To keep taxpayers informed about tax processes and innovations that simplify tax remittance, the Federal Inland Revenue Service's new weekly program, Tax File, has...
At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking news.